Have you forgotten you can run ads and be broke? You can have thousands and thousands of followers and zero sales. And you can be rich and extremely unhappy. Things are not what they always seem. And you know that. Like, you know that. Like, deep down, you know that. Some of my friends who I know are the wealthiest from a monetary standpoint, they don't have all designer clothes. The people who I met, especially like 10 years ago, now everyone's wanting to travel and people save, and a lot of entrepreneurs out there, people who don't make any money online, but they've saved up enough that they travel, and then they just try to make it seem like they built something that supports them, and it's not always true. But 10 years ago, I met people who truly were traveling the world nonstop. And they were never what you thought. First of all, they never looked like me, unless they were in the military or an athlete. This was like in 2009 when I went overseas the first time, or when I left to live overseas. They were never what you thought. They were always like like what we think of as like a little bit of a nerd. Usually unshaved, maybe a little bit of holes in their clothes. They always were wearing Vans that were falling apart. Like, that was the look. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is someone who's been traveling for a long time. It wasn't the person who was making six figures or the person who had the best designer outfits. And I never understood that. Because I would see someone with a Louis Vuitton purse, which I'm like, I saw that for $3,700. And they're like, yeah. But yet they travel, which is what they love to do, once or twice or three times a year, and it's only usually for a week, maybe two. Where other people looked at it, I'm like, if they would have had $2,500, the people who I met, that they said that lasted them for 5 months traveling. And they're doing what they love. So have you forgotten that our eyes can deceive us, can trick us? Have you forgotten? Many of you know this. If you've ever taken a program or a course with me, you definitely know this. But I was a pickup artist for a long time. But I always tell people I used my powers for good. Like, I truly realized that the more I remember reading an article that people's biggest fear, like, wasn't death, anything like that. It was to speak in public. Public speaking was like the number one fear over death. And I was like, well, I need to do that so I can get comfortable living in these countries where people don't speak my language. And then as I started to think about it, I took it one step further. And I took it one step further and said, well, let me think of what's more scary would be to go and talk publicly to a beautiful woman, at least for me as a man. I'm like, that's terrifying. Women don't know this all the time, but it's terrifying, especially if you're not new to it. But I realized if I can master that, I can master anything. I can talk to anybody. And it helped me being around big time celebrities that I was around, a lot of NBA players that I would have been scared to talk to in the past, but I got used to it of just being like, yeah, no big deal. Like, I remember the first time I met like Kyrie Irving, and this was probably when I can't remember exactly. I think I was young in my career, but I remember meeting him and I was like, I'm not shocked. I can go and talk to the most beautiful woman who I don't know with no problem. So what is talking to you? I'm not scared at all. And I remember that. And I say that because the one thing that I realized during that was that some of the most beautiful people get talked to the least. Some of you already know that. But some of the most beautiful people who you're like, oh my gosh, like everyone must talk to you. Or I used to go to people and be like, I know you hear this all the time, but you look amazing. And they'll be like, no. Or I would be out at a club, or I'd be out at somewhere at a party, and I would be talking, and I'd be like, wow, I'm like, everyone's probably come to you and said this tonight, but I just wanted to tell you, and then I'd go ahead and say what I had to tell them, and they're just like, no one's told me that all night. And I would be talking, and I'd be like, wow, I'm like, everyone's probably coming to you and said this tonight, but I just wanted to tell you, and then I'd go ahead and say what I had to tell them, and they're just like, no, no one's told me that all night. And that made me think, like, really? Really? Like, so for me, the question is, like, have you forgotten? Things are very rarely what they seem. They're rarely what they seem. Even people who look at my life, like pro athlete, living overseas, go to all these countries, especially 10 years ago, before like crazy social media, like being in a place where they had never seen people who look like me, but I party and they love to talk to me and love to go out, and it like, but there were times I felt extremely, extremely lonely. Extremely lonely. And there were times where I remember, some people know this story, but I was in Germany. This was my back-to-back season, which means I played for, I think, 9 months in Australia, went home I had 16 hours with my family. My agent booked me a 16-hour layover. I didn't even unpack the car. My family picked me up from the airport, drove me home. We ate dinner. I slept, and I had to be at the airport the next morning. And I was I flew 31 hours one way, travel time, 16 hours with my family, not even, and then a 9-hour flight to Frankfurt, Germany, and then go straight into another 9-month season. And I remember during that season, I just felt so lost. I was in Germany, I didn't speak the language, like it was just challenging, and everyone's like, "You're living the dream!" And I'm like, I guess, but the dream isn't what I thought. Yeah, I have fun. Yeah, I get attention. But, like, I'm sad. Yeah, I'm the best player on the team. Actually, it was the only team I ever played on where I wasn't the number one scorer. I was the number one rebounder in the league, so that's okay. But I remember feeling so sad, and people just forgot. People forget. You think everyone has a perfect life. Everyone is struggling. And then I remember one time I wanted to end it. I wanted to end it. I thought everyone's like, "You're living the dream," but there was no one checking on me. See how I'm doing? I'm a tool. I'm a zoo animal. They look at me, want a picture, want to do something, and then that's it. That's it. Do your job, and that's it. That's all they care about. Hurt your ankle? Are you going to play on Saturday? No one asks, are you struggling to walk? Hard to get up the stairs? Hard to shift your car with the clutch? Like you need any help with? There wasn't any of that. It's like, are you playing on Saturday? People forget. People forget. People forget. People forget that when you see the highlight of someone's life, it means so little of how someone actually feels. I don't even think people understand that. I don't even think people can grasp that concept of just like, I saw them, they looked happy, there's pictures of them, they must be fine. Every single person watching this video right now, I guarantee you, if you just let me film 15 minutes of your life, the best moments of each day, people would think you have a perfect life. When in reality, you can be falling apart. There's people who dress amazing and they don't know how they're going to make their next payment on their car. There's people driving around in a very nice car, beautiful car, can't afford gas. Can't even fill their tank up with gas if they had to. People who live in nice homes that they're terrified that if they get laid off or something, they'll lose everything. There's people that are with people, that are married to people, that are in relationships with people, and they're terrified that the other person, my video cut out. And people are just living in fear the whole time. Like, let's fix this camera angle. Like, have you forgotten? Have you forgotten? Things are not what they seem. Not for anyone. Anyone who's a little bit older, we realize that our parents don't know everything. Our teachers didn't know everything to do. If our teachers knew how to get rich, would they be where they are? Maybe, but most of them, maybe not. So have you forgotten? Let this video be a reminder. Things are not what they seem. What you think of someone's life that you're so jealous of, you have no idea of some of the stuff that they have to deal with. The person who's the party, the man of the party, the person in VIP, the one who has all the women, I want to be like that person. They might be the loneliest person on a Monday afternoon. They might feel like just ending it on a Tuesday morning. Trust me, I was that guy. But Luke, you're so happy and positive. Yeah, but there's times where you're just like some people don't know. Like, you're in Germany living the dream. Really? Like, I wanted to cry in the supermarket because no one understood me when I was trying to ask for cereal. I just want cereal and milk. It's the only thing that I understand and I can recognize. And just like, no one speaks the language, and I'm in a small city. I was living outside Frankfurt at that time, like 15 minutes, but no one spoke the language. Like, I was saved by a Russian named Olga who ended up she lived above me for a while, who made my food, who did all, like, who literally saved me. Literally. So for me, it's like there's so much that we don't see, that we're blinded by what we do. So this is a reminder to you who feels like maybe you're not enough, or maybe you're not as good as other people, or maybe you don't fit in, and everyone has it better than you do, and everyone else is lucky. Like, trust me, there's sides of their life that if you saw, you would not want to be them. You couldn't wait. Oh, but they have money, they can do anything. But imagine all your family coming to you, and now they just want money. And now you're worried, like, you have trust issues, so now you got the perfect person in your life, but you don't trust them. Can't trust them. Where reality, you can't trust yourself. That's a whole nother talk. But at the end of the day, do not forget, everyone is struggling in some part. Just because you see the highlight of their life doesn't mean that that's the whole movie. You ever see the highlight of a movie and you watch the movie? Why does everyone ask, how was the movie? Why does people ask that after the movie when you've seen the trailer? So of course it looks good. But then you get to the end, you get to the dialogue, they talking too much, doesn't go with the book. Nothing is what it seems. And this is just your reminder. This is just your reminder. There hasn't been a country that I've visited that I haven't had moments where I sat there and I just looked around, shook my head, and just gotten frustrated about something. I don't stay frustrated, but I just get to be a part of just like, oh my goodness. Happened to me the other day here. I was just like, wow, I really want to just be around a group of people who speak English so I can just speak my natural language for a little bit. And it gets frustrating, and I'm like, I miss my family, and I miss my family back in Bali. I want to get back there. I want to go to Dubai, and I need to go back to France. I have to visit Poland. I need to go to Australia. Like, I still have half my life still there where I lived at. Like, and I wish people understood. I used to be at a point where I wanted to be a place that I'm not. And that's a challenging feeling. So for me, this video is a reminder to me, but as much as it is to you, that nothing is what it seems. Everyone has great days. Everyone has days where they just don't want to be here anymore. Maybe not from a leave the life standpoint, but just not want to be where they are. Just want to disappear. Why do you think Southwest Airlines had "Want to get away" as their slogan? But it's a reminder to not forget that. When you're having a struggle, when you're having a moment and you think you're alone, I promise you're not. I'm with you. The people watching this here are with you. We understand what you're going through. If I tell you the biggest pain, the biggest heartbreak that I had in my life, every one of you can relate to that. We've all had our heart broke at some point with something or someone at some point in time in our life. And it's sometimes in those down moments that we actually forget that life is like this. It goes up and down for everyone. Maybe someone else has been healthy. I've been healthy my whole life, but I've had people close to me who I cared about who weren't, which felt even worse. Or I wished it was me in that bed. I wish it was me. Like, my body is strong enough to handle it. Theirs wasn't. And they're not here anymore. They're not on this earth anymore. Don't forget that. Let that just be a reminder today to not forget. We all have ups and downs. And if you're in your down, remember it's a season. It's going to change. And if you're up above the clouds, it's going to change. Then it's going to change again, and it's going to change again. So that's just my message from my heart for you today. We're going to have our session, our weekly session. We might have to move it. It was supposed to be this Friday. If you've signed up for it, I believe you've probably got an email. If not, we're going to be having another meeting the next Friday. We might miss this Friday, and that's just because I'm going back to my village for a little bit, and I don't have service there, and I don't want to have a bunch of people just waiting on Zoom, and I'm not able to show up because there's no phone. It's a place that I just get away, and so I might not have service. It hasn't been working so well. So just wanted to share that with you. We'll be having it not this Friday. We'll be having it the next Friday. And with that being said, I love you guys. Take care of your mind. Take care of each other. And I'll see you all down the road.